All right, guys, here we are for another special episode. We've got a nice guest with us. We're going to be talking about the film Warlock from 1989. Our guest today, Emily Whitehurst. Emily, tell the people who you are, what you do, what you got going on.
Hi, I'm Emily. I am a musician. My project is called Survival Guide. And yeah, that's that's about it. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff going on within Survival Guide, but yeah, I'm just doing music, doing Patreon, live streaming, that kind of stuff.
I'll put a link to her information and Patreon in the thing below, so you can go check her out. If you're not familiar with Survival Guide, you might know The Action Design or Tsunami Bomb, her other projects in the past.
Yes.
All great. But here we are to talk about Warlock. So, Emily, I'll let you start it off here. Let us know your non-spoiler thoughts on this film. What'd you think?
Well, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was...
We're all like relieved, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I love this kind of stuff. I love how cheesy it was. I love how the practical effects, you know, and the animated effects were also...
Love the date. Like this time period's good. Effects, animated wise, yes, fantastic, spectacular.
Yeah, so
had you
good.
Seen this one before?
No, I had never seen this before.
All right. Warlock virgin.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. It was very dramatic. It was very... let's see. I didn't make any notes on this, by the way. On this movie.
That's fine. Lee has enough for everybody, I'm sure.
I write down the entire plot of the movie, and then it's totally useless for now. I'm just panicking and like scrolling, like trying to find things to say about it. So yeah, we will compensate for each other.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
I always watch the film directly before we talk about it, so it is completely fresh in my head. And I've seen this one before.
I like to
overall
think about
positive thoughts. You'd recommend it to somebody else?
I would. I mean, as long as you like cheesy 80s movies, then yes, it's a definite.
How about you, Lee? Had you seen it before?
Yeah, no, I had, and I was super nostalgic for it. Oh, no. I love me some Warlock.
Right.
I watched it as a kid. I liked it a lot. One of the ones I was dreading, like, rewatching for like a show like this, where I'm like,
what if it wouldn't hold up?
What if it's not good? Oh, no. I thought it was pretty good. It is a little dated, as we're saying, and it's kind of it's not slow, but it does, like, take a long time to finish happening. I don't know how else to explain that. It's, like, long. And I like that, but I think if you're like a brain destroyed Zoomer, you might be like, this is boring. I don't like old movies or something. But no, I would recommend it again. Yeah, if you like stuff from this era, it's definitely good. If you missed it or if you want to go back, it's like you remember.
Oh yeah, it feels more 80s than 90s, which I think is a good thing. I think this one has a lot of fun stuff going on there. It is a bit like of a burn there, but there's so much like lore and stuff just peppered in. They don't beat you over the head like they would like in a movie today, which I love. You're just looking like, oh, what the hell is that? Oh, what is this thing? Little like, oh man, could you explain that more? No, we won't, because it's a movie. All right, awesome. Like, I love that stuff. I think it has a lot of that going on. So if you like to get like deep into a movie, this is something that you could be like, all right, let me talk to my friends about that later. And what do you think that is? And we're definitely going to go into that later in the spoiler section of this. But yeah, I'm firm. I like Warlock. I think it's great. It definitely holds up. And I had no fears about this one. I think I saw this in the last like 12 years or so I had an inkling that it was going to be still pretty good, and it was. But yes, I think everyone on the panel here thinks this is a good movie. We would recommend it. Let's hop over into spoilers without any further ado and really get into meat and potatoes and ruin this. So if you've seen it or don't care, falls into spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
All right, so here we are for the spoilers of Warlock. So let's go right into it. What is the best, worst parts of Warlock? I'll start with you, Emily, our guest here.
Oh. I should have made some notes. Let's see.
It's much better to put somebody on the spot.
Best, worst. Best and worst.
Best and or worst. You don't have to pick one moment that is both the best and the worst.
Oh, right.
But if you have one, that would be ideal.
You get a bonus point thing for that, but no.
Let's see. I mean, there are so many great parts. I loved all of the action parts of this movie. I loved starting off with the finger cut. I did not see that coming.
Oh, neither did he.
Yeah.
Yeah, that surprised me, and the frying tongue as well. That was
Oh yeah.
that was pretty good.
That whole sequence is very interesting. Where like this guy is far too friendly. Why is he so inviting to a guy who potentially drunkenly, at the best case scenario, bursts through his window into his house?
Oh, what the heck are these?
Hey, don't touch him. Let the cops do that stuff.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
like, oh yeah, we'll put him in the bed. Oh, I'll offer him a frittata in the morning. This will be great.
Okay, so like that's crazy, but they're also playing up this angle that like he's gay, and they have some like negative stuff with that in like a little while with the cops and everything. But they're playing up this weird angle, like I'm a Scorpio, and then he grabs his hand, and he's like, oh, so
I'm a Scorpio. Or I was.
he's like, oh, he's British, awesome, and stuff. It has this weird little thing where he's like, hey, how you doing, or something, and then just like, ironically in this weird kiss maneuver, like gnaws out his tongue.
You would expect a soul suck from that thing. You picture him being
That's what I thought was gonna happen,
all shriveled and whatever.
He doesn't even make like a potion with the tongue. He was just like,
No.
where can I spit this out? That'll be awesome.
Frying
that'll
pan,
be hilarious.
frying pan.
And just
That was
gets into
just
the
for
frying
fun,
pan.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was convenient though. I mean, it was right there. So where else would you spit it?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
he
Fry it
has
up.
style, right? He's trying to make every action count, and that's what he's doing.
pizzazz right
off the
there.
bat. Pizzazz,
Exactly.
yes.
You can
agreed,
tell.
that is an
You can
awesome
tell
part.
how classy he is by looking at him.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
how-
he's
That's how
dapper.
he wins everyone over.
Oh, he has that
Yeah.
look to him where you look at him right away and you're like, well, that man's evil. I don't know what role that man could play other than evil.
You're like, how mysterious. He's just
Even
standing
our
there.
good guy, though, kind of has an evil touch to him, and that's implanted in my head. I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Hudson Hawk, but that gentleman plays the bad
haven't.
guy in that, and that was a favorite of Bruce Willis, Danny Aiello vehicle. It's not good, but I love it.
I'm just a regular Joe. I just want to be happy.
And he
Okay,
is the
hold
bad
on.
guy in that film.
I have still not seen Hudson Hawk, but we have this tradition. When I check IMDb for someone and I'm looking through, if I see Hudson Hawk, I know Stefan will mention Hudson Hawk and tell me. So I've slowly constructed the movie in my head, and now I have the main villain. This is a big win. This is big.
But so he has a look to him, and
Yes.
the weirdest, I understand it's the late 80s, but his hair is so bad.
Some kind of compass?
Which compass?
This one here.
What of it?
What is it?
As I say, 'tis a witch compass.
He doesn't look like he should be a good guy. You picture, I don't know what that guy is, but there's not a lot of description about him. You're like, okay, he's a witch hunter. He's not necessarily the best witch hunter in the world. They don't go into deep lore about him, but he is, on the level with our Warlock guy here, who potentially is the best Warlock. He's gonna be like Satan's number 2 guy.
You shall be
Him.
the one begotten Son.
So I think that's just a beautiful marrying of things there that could have been more could have been elaborated on in a movie today. I think they would have gone through a thing and been like, we've sent the best, blah, 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 blah. He brought him in. There would have been a whole exposition thing during that little, like maybe a monologue over the walk of those, priests or whatever those Amish-looking people were that, are going to the tower.
We've sent Vin Diesel to hunt this witch.
You know what I'm afraid of? Nothing.
He's the only one who can save us.
Did you
Yes.
notice one of those, Amish, priest-looking guys is the one from Seinfeld? It's Elaine's boss.
What do you want?
I want a decent sock that's comfortable that'll stay on my foot.
Yeah, famous character actor who's also played a bunch of these
He was in
priests
Evil
and other
Dead.
things before.
Or no,
Yeah, I felt like
Army of
I-
Darkness.
Only the Necronomicon has the power. Within its pages are passages that can send you back to your time.
I felt like one of those guys looked familiar, but I didn't look him up. But that reminds me, what did he say about, in that beginning part in the 1600s, about the warlock, when he dies, he's going to be burned over like some live cats?
Thou art to be hanged and then burned over a basket of living cats.
Yeah, there's all these rules. There's all this occult mythology
Part
stuff.
of the genius, and
Yes.
that's exactly
It's
it, is that there
wonderful.
are these things where they just breeze over these rules where I'm like, what? Like the hammering a nail into his footprint. I'm like,
I like
that's
that part.
genius.
Listen,
Does that
okay.
only work because he's barefoot? And at one point, did his head hit the ground? Did she
Yes.
remember?
Oh my
Like, I was
God.
like, that's so
Listen.
good.
Okay. We're jumping around a lot, but this is
Oh,
a
yes.
moment that I was waiting for. This changed my life as like a child, because yes, he's like, get his boots, and they take off his boots so that they can put him in like the little toe
His boots!
handcuffs. They like get his thumb
Those are
and,
so
and his
good.
big toe together. That's so amazing.
He has those in the opening
so-
shot, and I'm like, is he
yes,
wearing
yes.
toe cuffs?
It's amazing. It's like very bondage weird stuff, but it's very like big iron where it's like, this works on witches for some reason.
Yeah.
But then he's barefoot, and then it's like, take the blessed hammer, do the thing. And yeah, she notices where he falls into like the mound of dirt, and like his head hit the thing, and she goes, wait a minute, and then he goes, and like freaks him out.
Yeah.
It's so good. That whole thing of like when his skin touches the like earth, it like leaves behind this like connection that she can use a blessed hammer to pound a nail and like hurt him in real life. That's like such a cool concept to me.
It's
I love stuff
beautifully
like
done.
that.
That was really great.
Those thumb cuff things, so like it's thumb to like big toe, and they have his
Yes.
left side bound, and at one point he's like hobbling away, he goes over a fence and he runs, and he gets like 300
He's so
yards
far
in
away.
like 10 seconds.
I know. Why didn't he just take them off first
man.
and then run?
He has to get some distance first. So he's hopping. He hops up a whole hill. There's a great shot of like horses like running away because they're like, I don't want any part of this hoppy motherfucker here. This is crazy. Yes.
Well, because they're probably sweating. That's one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a witch in here.
It's so hot.
This dude's making me sweat, and they run away.
Yeah.
Right.
That,
I assume that that torture thing was thumb screws. Is that not right?
Yeah. He's like screwing them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they are attached. Yeah, like I would hope it's like a point and it's going like through his skin or something. Because I
don't
think
like show that.
That's like an actual, but that's like an actual torture device from back then, right? Thumb screws.
I'd never seen them like though where they cross stitch it to the guy's like toe. Also, I was like, that's fantastic. Just all his little devices, like his whip that he's like chewing salt with to make it extra dangerous. Salt in general, like a thing you've heard before many times, like oh yes, demons, witches, ghosts, they hate salt, whatever. I think it's great, and how salt was rare back in the day probably made that a difficult thing to use. And him in the modern day, like, is this yours? All of it?
This I spied earlier. 'Tis yours? The whole of it?
Just salt.
And it's one of those tubes of Morton salt. It's like the exact salt. Like I have that salt. That's like I'm like I know that as a kid too. I think I was
Cameo from Lee's Salt.
That's real salt. He's just using salt. Mom, we have that. We're prepared. We're good. Yeah.
You just need the whip now.
Oh, he's got that, I'm sure.
You got the whip.
No, you're right though.
You gotta chew it in.
Hold on. Going on Amazon to the whip section. I have it.
You gotta search Indiana Jones whip. That way I don't get on a list.
Oh, yeah.
His like blood locator thing.
And this little jobber's gonna find him, right?
The needle shall point up his direction. The quicker it swings, the closer is he.
Like that thing's cool, and then the inverse of that is like the devil's eye is divining rod of finding the pages, like little things like that. Such like the writing, it's beautiful, so good, and like you don't get enough of that stuff
because they're both on this hunt. Let's finish talking about the intro though.
Yes.
This was when I knew, right? Because they mentioned the cats. He's like, burn him, keep burning him. Don't take these cuffs off until there's nothing left of like burning him. It's this very thing.
Unlocks, they shall be kept in place even after he is hanged, even while he burns. When there is naught but ash, only then should they be.
And then he like gets out and everything. They have this dialogue though where they're like talking old timey but not. It's this really weird and like the language immediately like roped me in. There's a part where he says, "Tomorrow shall you die," and the warlock says, "Believe it upon seeing it," or something.
I tracked you, my last. Tomorrow shall you die.
Believe it upon seeing it.
I was like, believe it upon seeing it, friend. I was like, that's such a good spin. Like they just took normal dialogue and kind of like Yodified it a little bit and moved a word or two and made it like old timey sounding. Was really into it. But how does he escape? Is it?
That's not explained. That's the 80s magic of it. It's just like, the devil just made a little tornado of time travel.
But he knocks him over. Are we supposed to believe that it's like his fault that he caused him to get out somehow?
Perhaps he'll save us both, Redfern.
Like, he like...
I didn't take it that way, but maybe.
I don't know what's
What do you
going
got?
It had to be Satan, right? It had to be.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't it like when he talked to when that woman was channeling Satan?
I have come, Samuel.
Right?
Yes.
Don't they talk about that? Like that the pages are there, and that's what I mean. The pages were always there, so
Well,
why?
that's yes. None of the time travel stuff makes any sense because the book existed through time. So, like, maybe that was the easiest point to get them. Like, the idea that magic exists and then, like, people 300 years later go, fuck, I totally forgot about that shit. Like, always makes me mad. And that's in so many things. Like, oh, the land, the people forgot. People wouldn't forget. You would tell your kids would tell their kids, and like, even if it was like thought to be a myth, you would still be like, iron, hurrah, this, like, things like that should be like, you know, at least in some, there'd be some crazy guy in a van with tinfoil on his head going, yep, gotta be ready for witches. Like,
so like
nothing.
I agree with you, but all of these things, and I love the battle between heaven and hell as like a like a premise for a movie. You do have like, it's like, oh, grandpa is like, they like shake hands like, you're from my time, yes, Mennonite, good, yes, we are bewitched, let me show you the things and everything.
Amish?
Mennonite. And we are bewitched.
And like the father is like, we ain't seen a hex mark in like 30 years.
Hex mark? Is it yours or is it not?
Hex mark? What? I haven't seen a hex mark in 30 years.
The mark is mine.
Right, like you're kind of witnessing the losing of the knowledge, or like, oh, his crazy myths. He's like, oh, you have to spit in like an iron thing and boil it. He's crazy. And then like he's like, no, it's real. Look, it's real. I told you. Right? It's this nice little demonstration of that.
I just like his jumps to conclusions that are correct, so I'll give the Mennonite credit here, but he's like, the door's open. There's a witch in there.
Yes. Well, okay, so this happens like a few times where they're like, when the witch is around, stuff goes awry, right? Yes. And it's like cream is curdling.
Cream's gone bad.
Couldn't be. I brought it in just yesterday.
You want to taste it?
Flames are blue. Horses are sweating, right? We said before.
In the morning.
Other stuff. Okay, because sweating any other time
at night,
normal.
That's normal.
Yes. They're very specific things, and yes, our like witch hunter dude is like very much like, oh, and like so is the Mennonite guy, where he's like, oh, there's too many signs. The bread's not rising. That couldn't happen.
The bread didn't rise. Round, but it didn't rise.
Let's go. Start nailing things shut and painting stuff onto the barn. Yeah, it's good.
And his little painting thing, what did it do? It didn't seem to do anything other than alert our, like, you know, our hero that there it is. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
It wasn't like that trapped him in the barn or
right.
Protected him in any way. It's still his eyes, you know, he would have lost had this thing happens in everything where like a hero is willing to give up the world to save some person. And in this scenario, it's the Mennonite who like is a worthless, do we even have a name? He's just like Mennonite father. And he's willing to stay with him to make sure he doesn't lose his eyes or die.
Warlock, you can't just let him blow out of here.
He'll die should I leave.
And let go of the guy who's going to kill the entire world. Not just this world, all the worlds.
The whole world?
All worlds, Cassandra. All.
And like, that seems like a thing, like, this guy has led us to believe he is very true to his cause, and that is the highest order. But not now, because we got to let this empowerment moment of our main character come into her own and grab back
we
her
needed
thing.
this the side quest for her to go back with the hammer, and then she has to like manually. She uses the hammer like remotely, and then when she catches up to him, she's just using the hammer directly on him to like get the bracelet. I like that too.
I like that. I like her aging. I like the whole business.
She's all old. Yes, the aging curse.
It was so good. I love that part.
Rhymes her into aging.
Your callow life in dismay. Rentum osculum tormentum. A decade twice over a day.
And that's great.
Yes.
20 to 40. Looks pretty good.
Hey, 40 ain't so bad. I'll buy a little tennis skirt and prance around town like those bitches in their BMWs.
40 to 60. I think that's a little dodgy.
Nothing could be worse than this.
I think she looks too good. Like, and like granted, she's like a 20-something-year-old actress that they're trying to make look 60. That's not the easiest of tasks. And I hear that she was very against wearing the prosthetics they had put upon her, and so that probably also hurt her ability to look older. But I like that. I like the blink of the eye. Like waking up, your hair is like 4 times longer. Your nails are all done. Like, oh Jesus, like that's a cool look. The whole business there, pretty.
I
fun.
love the misunderstanding too, where she's like, "Okay, I'll just cut my hair again. I'll like dye it. I'll hang out. It'll be fine. This isn't that bad. Let me just get out. I made it. He didn't kill me. That's awesome." And he's like, "Nay, you fail to understand. Let me explain." It's like, "Oh no, this is gonna keep happening." Like, damn.
You realize not.
It's aged me 20 years.
Not aged. Aging.
Tomorrow, I'm gonna wake up 60?
Yeah,
it's a pretty brutal curse.
Yeah, I like remember her being cursed like this, but I thought it happened like way later in the movie. I thought she was like aging, during like the final fight or something. There was some weird thing, so it totally like surprised me that it happens like as one of like the first things that he does.
I really
they needed to motivate her. She had to get
gets her
motivated
involved
to
in
go
the quest.
with
Yeah, exactly.
Her like just being a 20-year-old like ditzy kind of character here like worked so well for that too, because she doesn't really recognize the problem before her as this like thing that like I'd be stressing it about constantly. Oh my god, I'm aging 20 years every day. I'm aging 20 years. It would be totally in my head. She completely like forgets about it at times. She's like, "You want to stop and get some food?"
Look, if you're hungry, we'll just stop.
Like she's not like on the ball, and I think that's
she's cracking
that's
jokes.
probably a great like help to her, because she's not like fixated with her own mortality here. She's able to proceed with the task at hand, or that's poor writing. It doesn't matter because it's good in any way you take it.
No, she's still 20 inside, right? So she's still acting like yeah.
You really see that when she's packing up to leave. I'm like, she packs like a first grader trying to run away. She just grabs things, throws them in a case. I need this big box of shit. I need all my clothes on the hanger.
Yeah, the mannequin head or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just throwing it into the car. Yeah.
Oh, I would just leave that house and you'd never see me again. I'd be like, oh, fuck this. 2 crazies have been here. I'm out.
What are the odds?
Honestly, what are the odds?
I think it's you, lady, at this point. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not. It's nothing. Okay.
She's good. I don't recognize her from too much. I've seen her in a few things, but I feel like she could have been a bigger star. Like she was pretty good in this, and she has definitely a look. Her eyes are like so fucking blue. They like grab you, and it's probably because her hair is like so fair. But I was like, no, she has a leading lady charm. I think we could have seen her do a lot more things, and she's been acting up until still recently. So there's still that opportunity that she could be that Tom Cruise-ian level actor.
I thought she was someone who I'm like, I know you. You're from something. And then I looked through the IMDb and I didn't see. I was like, oh, maybe not, right?
Yeah, she looked really familiar to me too. And the only thing I saw of hers was Flashdance, I guess.
Yeah, which was before this.
Right.
Oh, no, it was Footloose.
Footloose, yes.
Yeah. Which was like, 4 years before this or so? So like she had already popped, because that's probably her biggest movie.
Yeah.
And then but no, I think she's good. Did you like the only other person I recognized from this film was the young boy?
Witches fly on broomsticks. Didn't you never see The Wizard of Oz?
I need no broomstick to fly.
Yeah? So what do you need?
Who he like takes his fat so he can fly. That kid's face never changed. He is the teenage like son on Step by Step. What is it, JT?
What? Really?
Oh yeah.
Can I roll $20? JT, I gave you your allowance yesterday. How do you go through money so fast? I guess I'm just good at it.
Yeah, what, really? What? I never look up the kids. I'm always like, you stupid kid, I don't know you.
I watch so many sitcoms I can pull a kid out from anything.
The Witch Hunter guy was recently on Loki, and I didn't know that. And
I cast a projection of myself so real, even the mad Titan believed it. Then hid as inanimate debris.
Everybody was like, "It's that guy." I'm like, I don't know who you are. Why is everyone acting like this guy is a guy? And yes, he has all these credits. He's like a dude. He's been in a bunch of weird, cool things like this. The director of this directed Friday the 13th, Halloween H2O, Lake Placid, and Soul Man, amongst many other movies.
Soul Man, a classic
catalog.
Go get my heroin and my hypodermic needle, bitch. Give me some more watermelon while you're at it.
Yes, dear.
White fat ass slut.
And the writer is the guy who did The Arrival, Waterworld, and the whole Pitch Black Riddick saga. whatever.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Those are underrated. Those are so much better than people give them credit for.
It's such a weird thing to have in both of their catalogs, though. We have like a very like worker director just directing like a lot of stuff, and this dude who's super plugged into this Vin Diesel cinematic universe in space. Like earlier in their career, they united to create this Warlock movie. Very, very interesting to me.
Oh, definitely. And that's a pretty diverse, like, you know, you named a couple of horror things there, but they're very different styles of movies.
Yeah, it's not all horror as well. I like picked it out.
Yeah.
And like it's not all just like they didn't just do 20 Warlock movies.
Yes.
There are sequels to this, but it's like other people, I think, mostly.
No, the sequel is what is that? Warlock Armageddon?
2 is, yeah. 3 I think is not.
Yeah, 3 is a totally different thing. But there are 2 sequels, so if you want to come back and do more Warlocks, we're here for you.
I think that I remember too, because it's the same guy. It's Julian Sands as like Warlock.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Like, when I see the Warlock, I think Julian. I don't know why, because I knew his name for some reason.
My name is Julian Sands. I play a character called the Warlock.
Yes.
Wait, didn't
Everyone
he?
named Julian's a badass.
But
he's been in a bunch.
He did burn.
he burned very thoroughly, and his skull got smashed.
So here's the secret, Em. Here is the secret. When a movie makes money, they will make a sequel.
Okay, fair enough.
And this was who put this out? It was like a failing production company, and it got bought by Trimark, and they're like, oh, we made money off that shit. Didn't cost us that much. Let's make another one.
It's not like a prequel or anything.
No,
you're gonna have to watch it and find out.
Yeah. Let's not spoil it.
I think that one was on channel like 11 or 9, like growing up. That was like a thing that I saw in that context.
I actually think I may have seen that one first, but I would have been like too stupid to realize sequels and things at the time, so it doesn't matter. So we very roundabout tangent.
Talked about the whole movie. Yeah,
went from your favorite part. What was the worst thing for you in this film?
The worst thing?
Is there anything that you cringed at, thought was done poorly, you would have changed, didn't like, etc.?
Well, I mean, it was a little slow in the beginning, kind of like we already talked about. I was kind of waiting, you know, I was like, okay, fingers cut off. Okay, that's cool. We're kind of like, you know, the whole beginning was a little slow. But
did you think it was believable? Would you invite this man who just burst through your window to sleep tonight? If you
absolutely not.
In this scenario, I often put myself in their position and try to figure out what would I do. And if a man did burst through my window, and I could not call the police, I'm like, well, I guess I would just put him outside.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I still have a big hole in my window, and he already proved he can break through windows. So I have other windows.
I was with the girl with Cassandra on that. She was like, yeah, let's put him on the porch.
Let's get him up.
Yeah, let's stick him on the porch.
A little compassion wouldn't hurt Cassandra.
Yeah, or some smarts, Chaz. You know, you just can't take in every stray that you meet.
For when the cops get here.
Yeah, and do they not?
In 89, I might have tied him up. I think you could get away with it then. Now I'd go to jail for that.
Well, it is weird. Like, yeah, it's just weird. Like, what would you think when someone flies through your
It
window?
wasn't a low window either.
No,
that was like 8 feet off the ground.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
and they say something like, you know, oh, it's a full moon, or like LA, it's crazy, right? There's some weird comment about like, oh, this dude's
happens.
Probably drunk or something. So like they don't call the cops, right? Do they say, oh, let's not call the cops?
No, the phone doesn't work. The wind blew it out.
Oh.
Winds.
Oh, and then
they tried and went, oh, it's out. All right, put him in your room. It's plastic anyway.
And then, like in the morning, they're like, "Well, the fear of this person being a killer is worn off, so there's no reason to call the cops anymore."
She jokes. She's like, "Oh, lay back down, recharge your batteries." There's some like 80s joke there. I can't remember what they called it. They didn't say Duracells, but it was something.
Look, just lie down here. Let your big gray Delco recharge.
I think that stands for the time. We then see her like, you know, at work and doing her business. She's driving, doesn't look at the road at all. And I love that she almost hit somebody, because that's like one of my pet peeves in movies when like it's like, you're not looking at the road at all.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, at least she almost killed somebody.
Well, and they tie that in. It's not only there for fun. It's, you know, it's like later when we get his again. He phrases everything crazily. Is like, you know, I don't even know how to do it, but like, you know, let your attention be before you and not beside you, woman, and all these things, because he's like, and he has this weird cheeky way of being like, are we only supposed to be on the one side?
Coming. Must we travel on just one side of the roadway? Or is it whichever we choose?
Yeah, it's just one side.
Which side might that be?
The right side.
Is either side good? And there's a giant truck about to kill them, right? It's great.
They
They're
also
pretty
had
good
to
about the
show
puppets.
her being afraid of getting old. You know,
Sure.
the old woman.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, you know, I hope I die before I get old or something like that.
Don't ever let me get old.
Yeah.
Don't ever let me get old.
That's awesome. Yes.
Like, even when they're in the guy's living room, he's like, oh, not the couch, that's 100 years old, which, like, sets you up to believe that that table the guy bashes open is probably old. The man collects old shit.
No, not the sofa. It's over 100 years old.
That's why this page is in there.
That's true. I
The
didn't think
pages are
about that.
fantastic. When they rip the page and it heals itself back up,
Yeah,
that's
that was
prime
so good.
80s awesome stuff.
So good.
The effects, as you said earlier, but that was in the non-spoiler section, so we won't be able to show a clip there. Are fantastic. I do love that Ghostbusters-esque painting on the frame crap. It's so good.
Okay. I have a thing to say about this.
Please say.
I love this so much. I also love that style, and they're doing the thing where like they have like a light like practically there, so he's making orange smoke, magic goop stuff. But then like behind him, there's this like glow like moving back and forth, right?
Well, and
That's
his
awesome.
eye line is actually tracking
the thing.
appropriately
There
as
you
he's
go.
doing things, which never happens. That's so well done.
So in the beginning, he's just like saying spells, and he's just like grabbing a knife. He's just like doing whatever. And by the end, he's like and like doing magic stuff, and like the magic like pushes the witch hunter out of the window at one point, and it like knocks over gravestones and stuff. So like you're like, oh, like how does this what's happening? And then they like seal the deal. They like show you, and this also changed my life. He like pumps it into the witch hunter's face, like into his mouth, and he's choking on it. He's like coughing it up. It's like physical. It's like tangible.
Yeah.
It's not just energy.
It isn't
smoke
fire.
Stuff. It's like goop.
It's like
it's like
kinetically
something.
pushing things and
That was really good. He's just
That's so
puking
awesome.
up that glowing stuff.
Yes, it's like he's like yes. I was like, this is amazing. I had never seen that. I think I still haven't seen that since then. So it's like in my head as like this unique example of like a way to do something like that.
I bet you it was done in the most dangerous way possible too. There's probably just like some neon chemical in his mouth that they then later paint on afterward. Like, oh, we'll get this glowing. Oh yeah, it's fine. No, it's made of asbestos. You'll be good.
No, don't worry. No, there's no electricity. We use this radioactive paint. That way, it doesn't can't burn you or whatever. No, yeah, it's really interesting how like that's this unique way of implementing it and stuff. I like that.
Do you think the Warlock got stronger over time as he was in the present day?
Yes.
I didn't think
he got more pages.
So like every
right,
time
right,
that like
okay.
that, he seemed to bind them to his chest or something. Because when he was stabbed,
Listen.
it
He
seemed
made a
like the
vest out
knife
of
went
it.
through the paper, but not then into him.
In my head, the pages like crawled up there to like block the knife or something. I don't understand why the pages would be there. Because how would he know where he was going to get stabbed? And he says, seems 2/3 of the book is good enough. Ha! And you're like, why would the pages? Why? Yeah, like,
That's classic prison logic, and we know he just came from prison, so he probably picked up that tip there. They'll wrap phone books because it stops the shank, you see.
This is gonna be your vital organs. You ain't nothing's gonna penetrate this. I don't care how big their shank is.
But like, why would he make a vest out of the magic pages? That's so weird.
I feel
he
like
also
he
might want to
consumes
keep
them.
it close to himself, though.
Yeah.
Close on his person.
He may have
you know?
just tucked it in there randomly.
Where else is he
and
going to
it's
keep it? He doesn't have a back pocket, probably.
no pockets.
Yeah, I don't think they had pockets.
No pockets.
Little Robin Hood cinch things that went on his belt.
Yeah. Can we talk about the time travel aspect?
We
for a minute?
certainly have to talk about the time travel aspect.
Okay,
Lead us off.
So when I saw, because I time travel always bugs me out in movies. I'm always thinking about like, how would this be? And it has to be like a certain, you have to have certain philosophies on time travel for this to even work. And so I kind of forgot, like after they were in the present day for a while, I kind of forgot about the whole time travel thing, aside from, so I didn't think about whether he was going to be going back or anything. But then when his grave burst open, first when he saw his own grave, but then when it opened and he had the pages, I was just like, oh, well, they should feel like this is everything's going to be fine, because obviously he's going to go back to the past with the pages and be buried with them.
But he didn't even get to go, like, so those were the...
I was going to say, he has to go back to the past.
Those were the pages from the past that he got to receive when he went back in time so he could die with them.
Right.
But yes, you are completely right. By any means of him being in a grave from then, he had to have been victorious.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, their mindset at least would have to, obviously they'd still had to follow the steps, and use their logic to do what they did. But I would think that seeing that would be like, sweet, this is all going to work out.
Hey, we must have did it. It's good. Yeah, come on.
If I'm remaking Warlock, and this is something I'll do in a lot of little tangents on how I would twist things and make him better. So if I'm remaking Warlock, this scenario plays out where the girl says that exact thing. She goes, "You're in the grave with the pages. That means we win. You go back in time." And then when they encounter the devil guy goes, "That's your son, moron." And he's like,
Yeah,
what?
No.
And he's like, "Your wife's not dead. She had my bastard child." Like something's not really ever paint exactly what happens to his wife.
I thought they were going to explain something like that. Like, oh, well, that's obviously not you. You disappeared in this freak devil tornado accident.
Pages maybe, but not you.
Are you daft? 'Tis mine own casket.
Yeah, but you're not dead. You're right here.
Hundreds of years ago. Blah, blah, blah. But he even screams when he falls into the grave. Like the only thing this guy is afraid of is like his own corpse.
That was really funny to me. Yeah. I loved that. Like, I didn't really get that, but I thought it was an awesome character building for him. He's like not afraid of anything until he might possibly catch a glimpse of his own skeleton.
Yeah. I'll do it. Now don't look till I say it's okay to look, okay?
Just be quick about it.
He must think that that's like a thing, right? That's like against the, like he's been through so much. There's like flying, but there's like flying machines and there's like crazy stuff and radios and he's all just like, oh, that's crazy anyway, and moves on, right? But this he was like, no, can't do that. That's the worst thing ever. Yeah.
Well, he's afraid of a paradox. If he touches himself, the world will end.
No. So like it has to be a multiverse thing where on Earth 1 he disappears and then he didn't disappear here and the devil moved them to a different reality where they could do a thing. I hate time travel too. It never makes sense. It's fine. Yeah.
I love, like, again, another payoff is we find out she's diabetic. We see the insulin, and really that never comes back again. Like she's like, only thing I need is this to live. Blah 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 blah. But then later she stabs that guy in the neck with the salt water, and I was trying to think what body of water is that they were by. Yeah. I was like, okay.
I don't know anything about Boston.
Well, it's gotta be. Isn't it on the water?
Harbor?
Yeah, isn't it on the coast?
It's somewhere. No? Oh no, it is. But I'm never sure if they're actually in the ocean, if they're by a lake, if they're by a thing, and I'm like, I don't know. We're Boston-ish. Like I go there every once in a while.
Does the water have to be salt water? Can it be merely brackish? How does it work? So when she says, I just need this stupid insulin, in my head I had like flashbacks to like, oh yeah, at the end she injects him with insulin, putting him into a coma and letting them win. It's like science and the old witch hunter rules combining to like defeat. It's like, no, she's like, she squirts them out. She uses salt water and like directly kills him. I'm like, oh, okay.
Called a fuckhead or something. It's something great.
Too. Try salt water, fuck brain.
It's like, take salt water, dickwad. Yeah, it's some dumb line where you're like, okay, yeah, whatever. But it still kind of is that, but it's fun. It's like whatever. I thought it was going to be more like.
I liked that a lot. I didn't when she like falls in the water and then pulls those out or something. I was so confused. When that happened, I was stoked that she.
You're like, are they going to put air in his veins?
You're
like, not like that.
She's just going to go in. Yeah.
I guess maybe so much was happening right at that time that I only thought about it for a half second and thought, what? What is she doing with those? I don't know.
They show her like slinking back into the water.
They
don't show any of that stuff that I just said where she's like filling them up with salt water. So yeah, you don't know.
Right.
And then maybe you even forget about her because the witch hunter's getting his ass kicked and everything. And then
he has a couple of good moves, but very quickly the tide's turning. He is not winning. When he scoops up that hollowed earth into his face and burns him while dusting him, I'm also like, anytime a fight where they go like, okay, hey, no guns, no powers, no whatever. I'm like, if I'm the bad guy, I would immediately just laser you to death and be like, yeah, I'm evil. I don't care about honor. What do you mean?
No, it's and like he almost does, and then they do the whole like, oh, so you fear me? And he's like, fine, okay.
So you fear me?
We'll do your thing. But yes, he totally takes that hollowed earth, face thing as a sign of like, the rules have changed, I see.
Feels as if the rules have changed.
The moment when the guy is zipping past flying the radar guy, that's just ludicrous. Because we see the radar kick up and it's like, I'm like, radar doesn't work. Like, where does it think he's hitting? It would only go when he crosses the beam. He's building up power.
Yeah, the point is that it says 96 miles per hour. And like the guy was like, oh, he'll be much swifter now. But you are not prepared for this goofy Julian Sands like, just like flying potion. And
it's kind of cool, but
and he's not flying like, oh, there's like clouds and he goes whoop and just flies by.
No.
He's like 3 feet off the ground.
And it's like an anime pose, just like
he's Goku flying just directly over the ground. Yes, it's amazing.
All the flying
like
was so good.
Yes.
The flying was so, I felt like it was so like Peter Pan, like if it was a live action Peter Pan, it was so cheesy. But I also, I thought it was a very bold move to make it children's rendered fat that made it so he could fly.
Oh, sure. But that sounds like a witch thing, like a Hansel and Gretel type, I need the children fat, oh, it's supple and it makes me fly and shit. I love that.
They really went for it, you know?
I love all the stipulations to things like that, where it's not just like, oh, it's Eye of Newt and this and that. It's like, no, it has to be the rendered fat of an unbaptized child. It has to be
it's
this
hardcore.
on a Tuesday on a thing with that, blah, blah, blah. and then that guy just mentally knows, flying potion, shit, and he'll like call it out.
They were going to show that scene, but it got cut because it was too graphic.
Okay, one of my criticisms was going to be that I totally forgot in the non-spoilers was that it's like R-rated and it's older and stuff, so you are expecting maybe for them to show a little more. A lot of it's very cheeky and very implied. Like he just goes
it feels
towards
like a
your face,
PG-13,
and then it's like, and then he has 2 eyes on his hands, right? It's
also a censored scene.
Yeah.
Originally, the eyeballs came out of her breasts, and then he stomped the shit out of her until they came out. Like, those are the devil's eyes. They're not supposed to... Originally, they were not her eyes. The devil gives them to her. Or to
As
give
we
them
all
to
know,
him
the devil's
her.
eyes are in the breast.
In the breast,
That's how it works.
exactly.
I love that scene, how she's this fake medium, and like, he's like, nah, we're going to use you. You're a vehicle today.
And how he's looking at her like, okay.
I would ask that we wait.
For what do we wait?
For the true Zamiel to appear.
Give me the real thing, you know?
It's like what should we do? And he's like, we should wait. And she's like, what? And he's like, for the real Pazuzu to show up. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then she fully changes into like, it's great.
Ask me what I will.
It's a great little.
It's pretty wonderful.
It's really good. She had really great teeth too.
Oh yeah,
yes, absolutely.
The eyes,
awesome.
like the furrowed brow. She had her business was pretty good.
She's very wet.
Bring together my Bible.
The Grand Grimoire. Here.
It's very
yes. Another thing I really liked about that scene too is that I don't know if it necessarily was supposed to tie in, but I was raised Catholic, so I don't know if you guys know about the saint who holds her eyeballs in her hand.
I know nothing. Please, regale us.
Well, so I used to.
What?
I definitely am not like a practicing Catholic in any way, but I used to have to go. Like my family went to church, and so the most fun thing for me was looking at all the creepy statues of all the saints. And this one statue, like a life-size statue, she had eyeballs in her hand. Just like
now, in her face, are there eyes too, or no?
Or just like a thing, maybe?
Well,
like holes or a bandage?
I think she might have had a bandage. I know that the actual story is that it's her eyeballs.
Okay.
And that they were cut out for her. She was accused of being a whore or something like that. And they cut her eyeballs out, but she wasn't. So she became a saint. I don't exactly know the story, but that imagery just really stayed with me for my whole life, and then it showed up in this movie. Kind of.
Is it like Beetlejuice? Can she see through them in her hands? Like, what's going on?
The statue version of her, yes.
That's
I would
amazing.
assume.
That's so cool. That's amazing that it's more imagery, because this movie, like at a certain point you're like, oh, this is just like, oh, you're like, your ancient traditions were like doing this, and he's like a magic whatever man or something. But then like partway through it becomes very clear, like, oh, no, God is real, the devil is real, hallowed ground, all churches, that's all real, and they are really fighting for creation or like uncreation, right?
Yeah.
It's very high stakes, very much exactly heaven and hell.
The weather vane becomes his like main weapon because it's made of iron.
Where did you get this?
The farmhouse.
No, I know, but I mean, you're gonna have to leave it here, you know.
I'll not abandon my every weapon.
The javelin, yeah.
That when so when he spears him and like drops out of the sky, I'm like, yeah, get him, like that's awesome. But I love when he whips his leg, and now it's like a whip kite ride, and he's like flying away. That part is fantastic. Like,
that was great.
The visuals are beautiful. Like a GIF of that could win the internet.
Yeah.
So, like, so fun.
I love how he also tried to use that javelin a second time and missed. Which is like, you can't
and then
get him
loses
every
it. It's
single
like,
time,
oh no, the football's in the tree. Like, it's gone.
Yes, it cuts back to his face, and he's like, oh, or something, because he's like, I had all these things planned for after I hit him, and now what am I gonna do?
Yeah, he really didn't have a whole lot of
Yes.
weapons. Like, he had a little knife, which wasn't holy or something, and he had like maybe one or two pairs of those thumb screw things, which like he seemed to find every time, or I don't know, but he was able to use those more than once. I was like, okay.
He wasn't prepared, He just went through, he wasn't. Yeah, he didn't know he was coming to.
Which I think is great. But he also, like, if I'm a witch hunter and I know there's witches, I'm probably gonna be like carrying shit all around like I'm like Joxer from Xena.
Joxer, the mighty, at your service.
Just covered in shit, ready to go. Yeah, because when you know evil's real, evil could be anywhere. And maybe I won't see some curdling milk or know the flames are blue and it will sneak up on me. I gotta have.
He did bring that compass though, at least.
Yes, I
which he said was super easy to make another one somehow.
Yeah. We'll rebuild the compass. The goods are common: brass, copper, glass.
When it's broken.
I love the one part where they've taken the compass and like strung it up inside the car, and it's like suspended. Like it's a thing, like a shock knocker. Like and it's their GPS exactly. Where it's like, oh yeah, so go west. Yes.
I think like the flaw in the movie for me, aside from the time travel stuff, which is like probably the biggest flaw, is a direct plot point where they're like, we'll just fly to Boston where we know the records are kept and that they could tell us where the book is. But we know like the devil is directly going towards the pages. So like if they didn't happen to, bump into him at the airport, you wouldn't even know you're going in the same direction at all. So like they could head to Boston and like get the records and go, it's in Missouri, and the devil would, the witch warlock would already be in Missouri, and you would have lost. So like, there was a lot on faith there, and most movies do have that moment where we're betting a lot on some hunches here. I think that was that's a pretty big risk. I think I would have kept hunting the warlock and not searched for the pages.
Yeah, I thought they had said. So they said that it was the records that were in Boston and not.
Yes.
I mean, I know that's what they were looking at.
Yeah, the records were there, and that nice priest gentleman.
Yeah,
who like. I feel like nowadays, like if I went to any priest and I said some weird, obscure name of the book that the god's name is in, they'd be like, "All right, son, we're closed," and he would just like lock the door and walk away. But that guy was hip, and like even though his pregnant wife looked at him from the window, he took them in, went to like the attic or like wherever they were.
That's in my notes.
Didn't seem like they were kept in a nice place. It wasn't like they were in a nice like glass box. They were in like a moldy box in the attic that has a little bit of dripping water.
That's in my notes where like, they find a priest, they say the magic words, and he's like, oh, you're in the club, hold on, right this way, and they take him in and do all this stuff. I love that because there's always the stuff you might say of like, the whole world's at stake. Why would anyone ever like turn and like do the whole thing? And we get this really tense scene with Julian Sands finally talking for more than a sentence at a time here, right? Where he's like, tell me, lest your children be born slugs of cold flesh. And he like has his wife and stuff.
Yeah.
And like it cuts back to that dude, and you just know like, okay, this is going to be enough for him to give them information. He's not going to be like, nope, God told me I'm not allowed to tell you. No, he's like, nope. I hope they're okay.
I believe they're okay. He seems to be
so.
like, aside from being like the son of the devil or whatever he is, or the second of the devil, he seems to be a pretty nice guy. Like he's pretty nice to that child. He hangs up their cross on the wall. Like he's like, you know, until
he's courteous.
His motivations get perked. So he was like, "You're not baptized? I can get a little flying powder out of this."
Yeah, he's like a gentleman. He'll play with that weird tiger game with the kid or whatever. So, yep, good times.
Yeah, 6 points. Now I kick off to you. You can't punt on first down.
I wonder if he were to kill the priest's unborn children, if he could render what little fat they have for flying powder, because they wouldn't be baptized yet because they're not born.
I would think it'd be even stronger.
Yeah, no,
right?
It'd be more powerful.
He'd fly 4 feet off the ground.
Yeah, instead
the
of 3.
placenta is actually an invisibility potion, so it would have been much worse for them.
I would have liked a little more magical powers and things like that to be distressed. But like, I understand we're working on a budget.
It's a great device because anytime anything happens, they can just be like, oh shit, he ran through here. Oh wait, this is missing and that's missing. Oh, he's trying to build this potion or like this device.
Yeah.
They can always pull new things out of their ass to be like, oh, what's going on? Which keeps you on your toes. You're not like, I know what vampires are. I know what's happening. You people are dumb, right? Anything could happen.
Yeah,
You can always be whipping something up. Yeah.
Speaking of whipping something up, when he pops out of that house and like throws his whip out but doesn't hit any cops and then they immediately taser him.
Freeze! Police! All right, watch his hands. Watch his hands. Watch it.
You're like, okay, so the age-old question of what wins, whip or taser? It's taser.
Yeah.
That was great.
and he runs outside like, I need to settle this. And just falls down. Yeah, it's great.
We've mentioned a couple of lines.
Okay, hold on. So like you should have nitpicked this. She has to go get him out of jail, but she's aged 20 years at that point. So they're like, who are you at that? They're like, what's going on?
Well, if I'm going to nitpick aging problems, well, that might have actually been a bonus because they wouldn't think she's the same girl potentially.
But she's pretending to be.
And maybe in the 80s they're just like, do you have the $100? Fine. The problem should have been, if we're going to deal with the aging, is that they go to a gas station and he says, let you take credit. She goes, if you have ID.
Take MasterCard?
Plenty ID we do.
20th century money. Great shit. Spend as much as you want till you hit your limit.
And she's like, I have ID, but he should look at it and go, this isn't you. You're 20 years older than this person.
There were no photo IDs yet.
What does that mean? There's no driver's licenses?
Yeah, they didn't have photos.
Is that real? When the photos?
I'm making that. I have no idea.
Okay, you said it confidently enough.
I didn't have a license before I was born. No, and she could just be like, well, that's the same picture. Sure. I haven't gotten like a new picture taken since the 50s. What?
Although she didn't really look that old, you know?
No, she didn't look that
bad.
Artificial aging.
Yeah, well, I would say that could have been what she would look like, you know, in 20 years. It was my only issue was that 40 to 60 jump. I was like, no. I do like that, like they think when you're 60 you can't like walk at a decent pace because she can't chase down that slow train at all. And also like a lot of the distress of things are like you're aging on your body. I wonder if you aged like in place 20 years, if that would affect your joints and stuff. Like it's not years of wear and tear.
That's true.
That is usually what is hurting you.
Exactly,
she is just aging. So like I understand the hair getting longer, the nails getting longer, but I don't know that you would be hobbling. I think she would be the spriest 60-year-old we ever saw.
Yeah, all your cartilage is still in place.
Yeah.
Yes.
But because of the curse.
No. We never know with the curse, but that's what I was getting at with artificial aging. Is like I don't know exactly because it can't be the same exact aging we go through. Because you have to live all those years. And you fall and you oh my shoulder and like things happen to you and you're getting older at the same time. Yeah.
Speaking of things happening and getting old, that farm that the Mennonite had looked like it was the most pristine, like postcard of a farm. I was like, no one farms here.
It was bright red.
The little rows, there's like stonework around the corn and stuff. I'm like, what the hell is this? Where do you live on? This looks like it should be a black and white TV show that just became colorized. And I'm like, oh, it's beautiful. I was gonna say before we mentioned a couple fun lines in the movie. I think my favorite line in the movie is when she's like, what? The guy who finger paints with body fluids?
The guy who finger paints with body fluids?
We're going after him? I was like, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Did any lines jump out at you that we haven't already mentioned that you can recall off the top of your head, either of you?
If I had taken notes, then yes. But no, I don't off the top of my head. Only thing I can think of is when she said, when the cop told her to leave her place and she said, do you have a watch? Time me.
Yeah, that is a great line.
Let me give you some advice. Get away from this house.
You gotta watch?
Yeah.
Time me.
You got one, Lee?
It's not a good line. It's like the cringy stuff that the cops do, where it's like, did he frequent public parks by any chance? They're trying to.
Yeah, that's the '80s homophobia thing. There's a weird distinction where she says like he's gay. He's gay, not queer.
He's gay, not queer. Big difference.
You said your roommate was gay.
Not queer. Big difference.
She says something like, he doesn't dick down little boys, if that's what you're asking. Like, it's this really like, whoa, what's happening?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a rough time.
Yes.
That did not age well.
No.
I also love when he bursts into the farmhouse and says, "Tell me your woes." It's like,
tell me your woes.
And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Bread, cream, horses, tell me." And it's like, it's such a
how quickly that is received and how positively he is received for a man wearing pelts who just burst into your house.
Because Grandpa comes in and he's like, "I have an awesome beard. Hi, how you doing? You wearing fur? Good. Yes, others."
I'm a Mennonite. How are you doing? Like nobody else looks like a Mennonite.
He's doing this like, oh, you cool? He's like, "Yeah, no, not Amish Mennonite. How you doing?" Yeah, and they do the handshake. They're like, we're hanging out.
Mennonites totally didn't exist. He should have no idea what that is. There should be a what?
Yeah.
No, I'm Amish, but use electricity. Oh, what?
He was just being polite. He's like, "I don't know what that word means, but I feel like you're a man that can help me."
and he was right, in all fairness. The best transition in the movie is when she first realizes what's happening and she's aging, and she's like, "Ah!" and it cuts to "Ah!" in the woods. That didn't help.
She's screaming. Yeah.
That didn't help.
I thought
things like that are just. I love like when people pay attention to stuff.
I thought one of the best transitions was like the tongue hitting, like hitting the pan, and then like the omelet hitting the pan in the diner.
They
and
put
it's
in
like
some work.
Yeah. No, it's like a real movie. That's the whole thing. That's what I mean by like it's a little slow. It's a little whatever. It's like it's doing all these things. That every scene has room to breathe, and it's like a normal film. It isn't like a bop horror movie like thing to thing movie.
Yeah, it's not really a horror movie, especially not ones that were coming out around then. This definitely is a notch above because it's almost more of a fantasy movie than it is your action movie. It reminds me a little bit of Beastmaster, the one with the time travel. What is that, Beastmaster 3?
Also a good one.
Oh yes. But yeah, I think we've hit all the things that had to be talked about problem wise. We've nailed most of the fun things. Any last things on your list there, Em, for talking about?
I'm trying to think. What did we miss?
We try to do it out of order, so it's
a-
impossible to tell what we missed.
Yes, it's the best way to do it. Just jump blindly around and hit whatever you can like a shotgun.
It was a fun road trip movie. They did a lot of driving.
It's buddy comedy.
Yes, exactly. You know what? I liked how it was not super. Like you assume that they would start becoming romantically involved like sooner. I thought, like you assume like, oh, this is going to be a couple before too long, but it's not until the very end that anything even remotely happens in that way.
Yeah, and there's no payoff there, which is also like to subvert the expectations there. Like she wants the kiss, and he's like, "Let me kiss your right eye," and she's like, "Going for the kiss again, I'll kiss your left eye," and then she goes for that kiss, and he disappears. You're like, "Oh, tiny tornado! Did God just take you back? What happened there?"
Nice timing, God.
Or is it the devil who's like, "You ain't gonna be happy," and takes him back? Like, I could take it either way. The biggest question I think I have of that scene is who did he go there? And he's like to the guy who does headstones, "Yeah, all right, there's a girl I love. I need you to write this thing on there for me," because like nobody else would have written that. Like, it's such a weird thing. Like, I'll write on my own headstone that I will think of you forever.
I think that it was magic what wrote the thing on the headstone. I don't know if it was really that he went back to the past to die normally. I think that's him like magically going back in there. But I love the part when she closes her eyes to like win for the kiss, and then just like wind blows.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is so good. And then it cuts to the stupid tornado, the lame looking tornado.
It goes over the grave.
Yeah, you should have just had the lead leaves blowing, and then
I
she
don't
should
think
have
you
gone
needed
to the
that.
grave and looked and stuff. Yeah, and I'm.
We could have had more like fire throwing or something. We didn't need that effect budget.
Yeah,
right there.
I did not like that effect of all the effects.
To clarify what you were saying before there, so you believe that he just blinked back out of existence and he was already dead in the grave and
He
didn't
like
get to
went
go back to his time?
Yeah,
Or
I think that he just went back to his grave, which is
Oh,
conveniently
so you don't
right
think he
there,
got
and
to
it's all
live out the
right.
rest of his life? You think he just
No.
died? That's
Yeah.
sad.
That is sad.
I think like
Wait, so why though? Why would he die right then?
I think
Because
that he
his
was-
job is done, or
Just because
Yeah,
his bones were already there?
Yeah,
Lee.
No, I think that he was plucked out of his time and like is dead, quote unquote. And now this is like everything healing and like going back. His spirit goes back into his casket, and then the little text updates, and then he's just now like.
So-
he doesn't die then. He died hundreds of years ago, but now it's all
So
like.
the
clicking
moment
back
he
into
stepped
place.
out of time
Yeah.
and time kept going, which made it get to how we see time now, he couldn't go back because it would have changed things
Let
and
me-
that wouldn't
let-
have happened.
let me draw
no,
a
you
chart
could be onto
of the
something.
timelines.
No. As I think about that more, that is plausible, and
That's
he's
what
in
it felt
Valhalla somewhere because he died a hero.
Yeah, no, he gets a seat somewhere. He has a rank.
Oh
at
yeah,
this
he's
point.
with St. Peter.
Does he come back? I don't even know if he comes back. next
No.
one. Right?
I'm gonna say no, but I have no real memories. I don't believe.
well,
I
it
think it's a
depends
whole
on when
new
it's
cast.
set. Because if he died in the 1600s, then
Yeah,
I would love if the sequel was like, oh, the witch is back somehow. That's crazy. It makes no sense. Anyway, oh, he's back too to hunt them. All right, the whole thing. That would be great.
No, I'm gonna bet 95% he is not in the next one. I
Well,
have
okay.
memories of the Scottish mafia guy from The Pest.
Sean Connery's birthday? Sean Connery's birthday. Sean Connery's birthday?
What is his name? O'Hallahan? Charles
Something.
O'Hallahan? Something like that.
I think that he did go back in time, and he did ask to have that engraved on
Yeah, like he paid a
on the
mason to
grave.
update the thing, and then he knew I should be buried with these pages because of the circular whatever paradox thing. Yeah, you can go with that.
No, yeah. That has to be it, because how else would he be buried with the pages unless his physical body was back there? Because when he left, unless he jumped through the portal, his body dropped. No, his body wasn't there. What are you talking about, Lee? You're crazy. None of that happened. Yeah, you're right.
It depends on the model of the whatever.
Exactly.
But I think the girl is in the next one. Cass is in the next one because it ends with her burying the book in just salt. She's just like word, right? And
I
feel
don't
like she
remember
must
her
be
in the next one
involved.
either. I have
don't
a
know.
memory of the girl from The Kiss. What is her name? Something McFarlane name?
This movie sounds great.
But I do love the bury it in the salt flats. The only problem I have with that is because they had to, like, I guess your average American doesn't know what a salt flat is or something.
Yeah.
They had to put the sign right there. I'm like, why would the sign be in the middle of the salt flat? Or
Okay,
are we to
so-
believe she buried it at the very beginning and then she was driving further in? That doesn't make sense.
So I was literally like, I guess that's salt. She's just a bunch of salt. Oh, this is probably one of those. Oh, no, there's the sign. Okay, it's salt. Yeah, good. Makes sense.
Okay, you're the dumb American I'm talking about. All right.
No, like I was like, I guess that's a salt flat. They should probably tell us that, though. I mean, not everyone's going to know. Okay, good. Yeah. And then we confirm it. And now we know exactly which salt flats. We can go onto Google Maps and figure out where. Because that's the whole book, right? That's like a huge liability.
Yeah, it was
she's gotta-
together.
and maybe she can't tear it apart. She lacks the magical ability.
Yeah, you might need like
break
super
it.
Christians to
Yeah.
rip it apart.
You might need to get a priest. Can you tear this book like a wrestler? And he's like, that's highly irregular, but okay. Yeah.
But you can't tear it long ways, Lee. It would heal. You got to rip it apart this way.
You got to tear it. Just like the spine. We just have to loosen up the spine and pull the pages out.
Did anybody catch God's name?
Frame.
It was
Like-
written there for a minute. What was it with an R?
Resdemsevere or something? I don't know.
Some weird thing.
They weren't all letters. They were like weird.
Yeah, they were like
shapes and
runes
stuff.
or whatever.
Cheating.
It's a little strange to even show it. You'd think that like it would form like halfway and then it would cut away just to not like offend people or whatever. Like obviously it doesn't bother me. I'm a heathen, but I would have liked to either seen it or not seen it at all. And it was kinda half-assed.
I hope it's not like Aramaic, like a real thing or something.
Ooh.
I hope it's like, because there's like a triangle in there or something. It's like, that's not, what are you doing?
I read something that in the Spanish translation they changed the name to Satan or the devil or something because I think it's like a lot
Weird.
bigger Christian community in the Spanish speaking areas.
Catholics,
They're like,
right? Yeah.
We don't want to get in trouble. Like kind of think how we change ghosts in like the Asian markets here. You didn't know that?
No.
That's a thing.
I know that. Yeah.
I didn't know that. What, the
We
word?
usually cut out the ghost.
They cut ghost scenes completely or don't release ghost things there.
China has a big no ghosts, no gays rule that we are forced to enforce, which
I
is
did
why
not
the
know
ghosts and or the gays are in sections of the movie that can be cut out for that market.
Oh,
it's very,
inside
very
baseball
weird
stuff.
Yes. Yeah, well, in the larger things, because now there's so many people in China, and now that they have movie theaters and stuff the same way we do, it's a large chunk of profit to just throw away by putting those things in, so they let them out and throw it down.
Huh. That's
so
crazy.
If you have like a gay skeleton dancing at one point, that scene will not be in.
It's an easy cut, though, you know?
Yeah. They just
2 in 1.
Yeah.
R.I.P. gay dancing skeleton. All right, I think we've covered everything that happens in Warlock. This is definitely a fun one. I would recommend if you somehow made it this far and haven't seen the movie. I don't think we've spoiled it too badly that you still couldn't enjoy it. Go check it out. Emily, again, tell everybody, what you got going on, where they can find you.
I am a musician. My band is called Survival Guide, and you can find me. Most of my handles online are just Survival Guide, but with no vowels. So that's SRVVLGD. And you can also just search Survival Guide on Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff and find me there. That's it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We had a great time. Obviously, you are welcome back anytime you'd like, especially if you want to talk about the sequels to this movie.
Oh, awesome.
All right, guys, until next time, go to hell. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Quickly living up to its namesake of the Devil's Wind.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinions, you can really